All right, everyone. This week I'm going to pick up where I left off last week with the Netherlands magazine layout project, Project 2 for Art 211, digital prepress and continuity. And this is what digital prepress actually means. Digital prepress means getting pages ready, getting layouts ready before they go to press. That's what that means, in case you're wondering. Okay. All right. Now, as you can see here, I've got my spread opened up here, page 12, 13, and 14 and 15 of Adventures. And what I need to do next, I need to make some small adjustments and start placing both text and photographs. Now, as far as adjustments are concerned, the first thing I want to do is move my page numbers here a little bit. Okay, now I could just move them down just manually by like clicking on them, moving them down, but I don't want to do that because I have master pages set up. See, like right now, they're set up along this border right here, which means that when I place my text or photos or anything like that, and it goes right to this edge, this is going to be too close, so I need to move these down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to master pages. Okay, master pages are where you change anything that's going to affect all the pages, right? So right here you can see I'm on 12 and 13. That's why they're highlighted in blue. But if I double click up here, okay, now you can see that I'm back to my spread, my master page spread, because Adventures is still there, but my page number has been replaced with A. Okay, so now that I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and click on Adventures, and I'm also going to click on the opposing page numbers with Adventures A, and I am going to just move these down a little bit. Now, instead of using my cursor to do that, I want to be very precise about it, so I'm going to use my direction key to pop those down until I'm exactly on that line. Okay, now I'm going to deselect that, and you can see those are lined up, and I have a nice little margin here between my columns and my page numbers. That's why, one of the reasons why I set up those guidelines where I did. Okay, now previously, when you set up these pages, you had to take these and drag them down here to apply them. Not so once they're already set up. Okay, so if I just, now that they're all set, if I double click here and I'm back on my actual spread, you can see my page numbers have moved down, and let's make that tuck back in there. And if I scroll down here, the same is applied down to the next spread as well. Okay, that's one of the cool things about master pages. Once you set them up, anytime you need to make a change that's going to go through all of them, that's how you do it. You can make those changes a lot more efficiently and a lot more precisely. Because if I were to just click on the individual, page numbers here and move them down where I want them to be, they might be, like a click off or something like that. And so you want to make sure you have stuff precise. Publishing is a very precise thing, okay? And you really need to make sure all your, ducks are in a row, as they say, before you send anything to a press, okay? Because I tell you, once something's in print, man, it's in print forever, okay? And you don't want any errors on your stuff. Having been in printing for years before I got into teaching, I can tell you any error that I let go or let slide, man, it's, if I have copies of that stuff, it's still there. I hate typos, that's why I'm so particular about that. All right, so let's move on then. Okay, now next, I think what I want to deal with is the text. Okay, now there's a couple of ways you can place your text. And there is a preferred way for this assignment, and I'll tell you why. Okay, what you could do, and this is a possibility, you can take your type tool, right, and create a box, for your text, and then set your font size. We'll say, let's go with say 11 point. 12 is the default, but I think 11 is a little bit better. 12 point font is what you typically use for like a term paper, but for magazine layout, I got to tell you, it's usually about 10 or 11. So one of those two would probably work best. Now, the first way you can set this up is just by going up to Type and clicking on this menu, and then go down to Fill with Placeholder Text. Excuse me. Now, as you can see, it's gone ahead and filled this box with placeholder text, right? Which you can use, you can set up as many boxes with placeholder text as you want, okay? But the thing is about that is that it doesn't give you a certain length for an article, okay? So I think for this assignment we ought to hold off from using that. Okay, so I'm going to just take this and I'm going to delete it. I just deleted the whole box, okay? And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to our resources for our assignment, okay? Now, those are right here in the Netherlands file folder that was downloaded from the Netherlands material. That's on the Moodle webpage. And yeah, it looks like that. So if you open this up, you have this file here, which says Greek text. Now this is a Word document, okay? So if you double click on it, it'll open up Microsoft Word. I don't have Microsoft Word on this computer right now, or at least not a version that I'm paying for. So I use a free version called LibreOffice Writer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and open it up with that. LibreOffice can be found online, and it's free, and it works with any Microsoft Word document, okay? So if you want to save yourselves a couple of bucks, kiddos, go to LibreOffice, download it. It works great, and like I said, it's free, okay? So just gotta open this thing up. Okay, there is our article. Okay, you see it's 2.5 pages long. That's the reason why I'm opening this up and using this. Okay, so now I have this opened up here. I am going to go ahead and highlight the whole thing, and I am going to copy it. I'm going to copy it to my notepad. Okay, the great thing about computers nowadays is you can use different programs across platforms to copy and paste stuff, and it works just fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. Bring up InDesign again, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to necessarily place my text right now, but I am going to make a box that's the right size. I'll make it maybe about this size here. Okay, and there we go. And we will paste. Okay, there we go. There's our text box right there. Now, you'll notice that, it's not all there because it's just the one box right now. But here's the thing. This is all I need for right now. The program knows there's more there. You can tell that by looking at this little plus mark right there. Remember that little thing right there? That will allow you to link up multiple text boxes and create flowing text, okay? And it's the right length, okay? So let's take that and we'll just set that over to one side right now, okay? That's the nice thing about, another nice thing about these modern programs is you can take stuff and just sort of set it aside for later, okay? So we've got our text here, so we can set that aside and place it later on once we figure out a little bit more how we want to lay this thing out. Okay, so I'm going to deselect that and just leave that over there. Now let's start placing some photos. Now, one thing you might want to do or think about doing is researching different magazine layouts. Okay, because generally speaking, magazines nowadays aren't just like, say, a photo here and then, 2 columns of text below that. No, magazines nowadays tend to be a little bit more dynamic. Okay, so you're going to have, full page photos that bleed off the edges. That's why we have a bleed line set up, and and things that are a bit more flashy, I guess you would say. Okay, so don't be afraid to go outside of these borders here. Okay, just remember that if you have a bleed, it's got to go all the way to the red line. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll take a look online for some magazine layouts, some contemporary magazine layouts. Let's just go ahead and open up a new tab here, and we'll just let's go to Google, okay, and type in contemporary magazine. I type with one finger, by the way. Contemporary magazine layouts, right there. Okay, and let's just go ahead and click on images. All right, now look at these magazine layouts that we have here. Okay, I'm seeing like a lot of like bold black. Okay, and across from that we have the two columns setting up with a offset photo on top of that. Remember the Fibonacci spiral thing that I discussed with you guys last time, how you can use that to create something dynamic. Oh, or look at like this here. Okay. Interesting stuff. All right, so think about how these layouts are set up. Okay, look at this one here that's got color swashes going through. Okay, there's a lot you could probably do with this stuff. Okay, beyond the usual. Okay, so do some research. Take a look at the kind of layouts that are out there now. Okay, don't just assume that it's like old-timey National Geographics or something like that you would find at your grandma's house or in the art lab. We actually have a bunch of those. So yeah, just do a search, and you don't have to copy exactly what is going on out there, but use it for inspiration. Like I said, having the opposing page in black is a fairly recurring thing that I'm seeing here. All right, see that quite a bit. So think about that. Notice too that they're very clean layouts, meaning that there's not a lot of clutter with a lot of these. You'll have like a single really strong image, and then an opposing article, something like that. So just do some research, and really think about how you can set this thing up that might be a little bit different. Okay, that's kind of interesting right there. Okay, and then there's again big photo, and then look at that white space there. Let's take a closer look at that. The way this is set up, okay, this is what we call active white space. Okay, it's not just blank. Because of the way the whole thing is set up, okay, almost think of it as a Fibonacci spiral, the spread on its side, okay, because what it's doing, this picture is actually leading your eye over to this, and that creates what we call active white space. Okay, so that's interesting. That might be kind of an idea right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that up. We're just going to minimize this, and we want to leave it open for later in case we want to refer back to it. Okay, sorry if there was a little bit of a jump cut there. I decided that I needed to open up Photoshop, and I didn't want you guys to have to wait and watch my computer while Photoshop took a minute to open up. All right, now the reason I opened up Photoshop is I was kind of inspired by what I saw in some of those magazine layouts that we saw online. Okay, so what I wanted to do was take some of these photos and make them a little bit different. So I'm in Photoshop right now. Okay, Now, if you have, the entire Adobe Creative Suite, which I assume a lot of you do, you have Photoshop. Um, Now, you don't necessarily have to do what I'm going to do here, but I want to take one of these photos or two of them, maybe do something different with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up. I got my Photoshop here. I'm going to open up. Let's see. Got to find my Netherlands file here, right there. There we are. And I want to use a photo that is, I don't know, somewhat interesting, somewhat compelling. Uh, and I got to tell you, these photos, if you look, you have to look pretty closely to find, uh, any photos that have people in them. Um, so here's one with the children fishing. Okay, that might be useful. Let's go ahead and open that up and take a look at it. Anytime now. Taking a minute. These must be fairly large photographs. All right, that's not bad. Okay, let's take a look at the size of this thing. Image size. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's 300 dpi. That's pretty good sized. Um, I think though, what we're going to have to do though, we might need to make it a little bit bigger if we're going to have that be a full page thing. But we can always take care of that later. Right now, it's 7 inches wide by, almost 5 inches tall, 300 dpi. If we resample, we should be able to blow that up without too much loss of quality. But I'm not sure what I want to do with that one just yet. Let's open another. Let's see. Windmills. There's some tulips near Hague. Well, it's got some people in it. Okay. That's not bad, but I'm not crazy about this fence here, and I don't like these signs. They're kind of in the way. So I don't think so. Let's go ahead and open up. Oh, horse and carriage. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. That's kind of quaint looking because you can see the water over here. You got the boats, you've got cars, you got people on bikes. That's, obviously not the United States of America because, people are on bikes. Anyway, and you can tell by the way it's set up. So that actually might work. I kind of like that. But what I think I want to do though is I think I'm going to have this be in black and white, kind of like the magazine layouts that we were looking at. Notice that a lot of those were in black and white. So let's go ahead and take this, and we'll go to image and mode and grayscale. Discard the color. Now, okay, there's the black and white image right there, but I think we need to sharpen it up a little bit. So let's go back up to image and adjust brightness and contrast. Let's go ahead and use our sliders here to put in a little more contrast, so our darks are darker and our lights are lighter. Make it really quite stirring. A little bit brighter. Yeah. Well, the whole thing a little bit brighter so the thing stands out a little bit more. That may be a little bit too much contrast. I want to be able to see the horse a little bit. A little detail on the horse. And let's see, we'll click OK. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just do a save as. And let's go right in the same place. I'm going to call it the same thing, but I'm going to put a BW next to it, meaning black and white. All right. Okay, so that I think will work for the larger photo that I want to have opposing my page with text on it. One last thing, let's take a look at this image size. Okay, I'm gonna resize this thing too. I'm gonna go ahead and change the height on this to 11 inches, and with this, you want to make sure that it's resampled. Okay, make sure that's clicked. 11 inches. Click OK. And there we go. Now you can see here, it it blew it up, but everything's still pretty sharp. It's still a real, high quality photograph. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit save once more. Okay, and now I think what we can do is start laying some of this stuff out. I'm not sure if I want this to be in color or not. I might use this on a different spread. I'm thinking about what I want to do with this. I like photographs that have people in them because that, I have to tell you, is what brings in human interest. If you have, just as a word of advice, folks, having been in publishing and printing for a long time, if you have a bunch of photos with no people in them, people aren't going to look at them. They're just not. People are attracted to people, okay? Especially when they're stories about far off places and stuff like that. If it's just a bunch of inanimate objects, nobody gives a crap. Okay, it's really hard to get people's attention. But if you have some kids in there fishing and doing something wholesome like that, oh, and look, there's even little actually they're not real. they're little duck statues at the bottom of the stairs. It looks like I think they're fake because they're standing at an angle and their feet look like they're molded together. But anyway, it's a fairly interesting photograph. It's compelling. Okay, let's put it that way. All right, let's go back to InDesign and place one of these things. So let's get our rectangle frame, and I want this thing to be the entire page. So I'm just going to fill that up right there. Okay. Double check my sizes here. Okay. And now let's go ahead and let's see. We want to, oh, where is it? There it is. I was thinking it was under edit. I'm looking for place. We want to place our photo. I get too used to, I use Photoshop a lot, and with Photoshop, you just cut and paste, So we'll place, and we'll find our photograph. Oh, it popped me back to Sanibel Island. I want to do that for. All right. Well, we'll find it again. Not a big deal. There's our black and white thing right there. Yeah, we'll go ahead and place that. Oh, look at that. All right. All right. I kind of dig that. Yeah. Now, what we can do though, that's what it automatically placed it into. But if you double click, you can move your photo over. So I think that's what I'm going to do here is, thinking about that, the old line about, um, having things offset. I think that kind of works here. I've got the whole horse on here, but I can still see the people and the cars and stuff. So it's kind of a juxtaposition of the old time and modern. Also, while I'm at it, notice that this photo is going exactly to the edge of my page, but it's not going to my bleed line. So I need to make it just a touch larger, right? So I'm going to hold on my shift key and make it just a little bit bigger, okay? It's super important, guys, when you are setting your stuff up. If you have a bleed, okay, it has to go all the way to that bleed. Otherwise, you might have a little gapping, little white space at the top, and man, you don't want that. Okay, so make sure that your photo goes all the way to the bleed. All right, so we've got that there. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my text and I'm going to place my text block here. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter because I think that was just a little bit too much. Okay. I'm going to bring in a guideline too, just so I can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, I think that'll work. That's 11 point. And now I'm just going to take my text tool and I'm going to make another text block. Set it up right there, and then deselect that, click on my text tool and there. All right, so now it's the whole thing isn't there yet, but it's linked. Okay, so it's flowing text going from one to the other. So there, I've got my text already started. I think what I need to do now, though, is place a title. Okay, so I also might place a little description of the photo later on. Now, the question is, do I want to place a photo right here, or do I want to place a title there, or have the title over here? Okay. Right now, I'm thinking that I probably want the title. I probably want the title over here because I'm worried that if I have the title over here, it might get a little bit lost in all of this black and white. We've got a lot of dark here, but we've got a lot of vertical whites, and it'd be really easy for text to get lost in that, unless it was like a really bright color or really bold or something. So I think what I need to do is just have this set over here. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. After that, I've got one more thing I need to do for this first spread, and then we'll probably call it good because I think we're at 26 minutes right now. So I'm going to take my text tool and I'm going to make a text box, say about like that. And I think for this though, I'm going to have this justified or align right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click there. I'm also going to have this be quite a lot bigger. Let's just go with, let's see what 72 takes us to. That's a little big. We'll try it at about 48. And let's take a look at our fonts. All right. We want something that is maybe a little on the traditional side. We want it to be readable. So let's see. Bodoni. That might be a little too 90s looking. I don't know. Butch and Sundance. Yeah, if this were a Western. This is about, Arizona or New Mexico. Maybe something like that. But nah. I used to live in New Mexico. Man, love the Southwest. Love it. That's neither here nor there. Like I said, something traditional. I have a lot of cartoony fonts like Dracu Frankenwolf, which is a fun font, but not appropriate for this. Evil Genius, Eternity Now. That's a little too futuristic, I think. This is the Netherlands, so maybe we want something fairly clean and cool. Impact. Impact is a pretty good font. It works really well for headlines and stuff like that if you're doing like a newspaper. It's very bold. Lightfoot. Lightfoot Shadowed. That might be a little too old-timey for what we're doing here. But let's give it a try. Let's try that. So let's click on that and let's type out the word the, and then so cap. Let me just double check this. Yeah, I really don't like that. All right, you got to try things out, see if it's going to work or not. You can also kind of like scroll through, way modern, way boring. Yeah. Martian Wars. No, that doesn't work. Not at all. Let's see. Castellar, Charlemagne, Chainsaws. Century Gothic. That's fairly modern. Let's take a look at that. That might be something. And let's take that up to 72. And what we'll do is we'll take our box and expand it out a little bit. The Netherlands. Okay. While this is selected here, let's go ahead and see if we've got, we can do a bold. That might be a little boring. I'm not really sure. But one thing I do know is that once I get this set, I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. It's not great. Nah, let's try something else. Century Gothic. Tahoma. Trash Cinema. Ultramarine. Ultramarine. I kind of like that, but it's a little hard to read. Um, Again, you want to be careful about novelty fonts, and that's what that would be. That's a novelty font. The problem with novelty fonts is that they may look cool, but they make it a little bit hard to read. Like that there. That's a really cool font, but it's a little hard to read. So you want to have a you want to have something that's very I don't want to say simple, but Noto Serif Nueva. I kind of like that. I don't know if it's a little too cartoony though. Onyx. Again, if that were if this were the 90s, that would probably be the thing. All right, newsflash. I'm not saying newsflash, and that's what I'm going to try. Newsflash might be an option because it's fairly bold. Mortuary deco. All right. Okay. I think I got it. Mortuary. I like that one. All right, so that's what I'm going to use as mortuary. Okay, because I want to keep it slightly simple, but a little bit on the modern side. Now, while this is still selected, I'm going to adjust my my leading and kerning, okay, or line spacing and stuff. So let's go ahead and adjust that. I think what I want to do is just we're at 72 right now. If I take it to 60, that tightens it up quite a bit. Okay, I like that. Okay, it's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Let's see what it looks like that. Actually, I can take this and kind of tighten this up here. So if I want to move it down, I can. Something about like that. Again, I'm going to tighten this box up a little bit, just so that if I decide to put something over here, I won't actually click on this by mistake. All right. Let's take a look at our spacing here. We are at a line right there. So I'm looking at the space that I have between my text and this. So I'm going to put a guideline right there just so I'm all set. Okay. All right. I think that's a pretty decent start. Okay. One thing I want to do before I do anything else is I need to grab my thing here, and I have to send that to the back. Okay. Because what I need to do is actually my page numbers are missing. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's grab this guy and move him over for a minute. Oh, I just thought of that. I'm going to need to do that on my master pages. What I need to do is I need to bring that to the front and make it reverse. Yeah, I'm not going to bore you with that. That's the next thing I need to do. That's the thing about master pages as well. Okay, is that that the page numbers. Okay, I need to bring those bring that forward. I need to make it so it shows up on this. I'm not going to bore you with that because I have to do it in master pages, and it might take me a minute. So we'll call that good for now. Okay, but like I said, got my basic setup. setup done for my first spread, and I'll start moving on to the other stuff next. Okay, I'll talk to you guys next time.